You ever watch a truly legendary athlete, someone like a Jordan or a Hakeem, and just think to yourself, wow, that's not just a sport, that's art. Well, today we're going to take that idea and run with it. We're breaking down how the signature moves of basketball's absolute greatest players can become your new powerful playbook for communication. Let's get into it. I mean, really think about it. What if every single negotiation, every networking event, every single one of those tough conversations wasn't just left up to chance, but was about skill? What if you could actually train for them, just like an athlete trains for a big game? That's the big idea we're diving into here, looking at social dynamics as a game that you can learn, you can practice, and, yeah, you can totally master. So, welcome to training camp. Over the next few minutes, we are going to equip you with the signature moves of 3 of the all-time greats. So forget all that dry, boring communication theory. This is about building a complete communication arsenal, one legendary play at a time. All right, here's our game plan. First, we're going to learn the smooth, fluid patience of Hakeem Olajuwon for all your negotiations. Then the explosive fearlessness of Derrick Rose for networking. And of course, the absolute total control of Michael Jordan for mastering any conversation. And then we'll pull it all together and uncover the physics behind why this all works. First up to bat, Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. Now, Hakeem didn't just brute force his way past opponents. Oh no, he would dance around them, confuse them with unbelievable patience, incredible footwork, and he always had a counter for every single move. This is your new playbook for negotiation. So the legendary dream shake, it's a perfect boardroom tactic. On the court, right, Hakeem would fake right, the defender would jump, and he'd just spin to the left for an easy bucket. So in a negotiation, you do the exact same thing. Offer up a small concession, something you don't really care about. The moment they commit their energy to it, the moment they bite, you gracefully spin away, trading that tiny point for what you really wanted from the start. See, it's all about using their momentum against them. Okay, Hakeem's next move is his mastery of the pivot. In the game, he'd plant one foot and then just swing the other to create totally new passing or shooting angles. Well, you can do the same thing when a conversation just hits a wall. Instead of backing down, you keep your core objective planted, that's your pivot foot, and you just step to a new angle. Like, say, shifting the top from budget to timeline. And in practice, the move sounds just like this. Instead of the conversation just dying at the word no, you acknowledge the block and you pivot. Understood. If the budget is fixed, let's step around to the timeline. You see, you haven't given up, you've just changed the angle of attack. Now this is an elite move, the catch block. Hakeem was famous for this. He wouldn't just swat shots into the stands, he'd often catch them, instantly turning defense into a fast break offense. So in a discussion, when someone throws an objection at you, maybe you don't have enough experience, don't swat it away. Catch it. Say, you're absolutely right, I don't. And then you pivot. And that's exactly why I can bring a completely fresh perspective. Boom. You just turn their attack into your biggest selling point. All right, next up, Derrick Rose. We're talking prime MVP D Rose. He was all about explosive fearlessness, and man, could he change speeds. He's going to teach us how to be a dynamic networker, someone who just blows past all that hesitation and awkwardness. Rose's single greatest weapon was his first step. I mean, it was so ridiculously fast, the defense was beaten before the play even really got started. Now, in networking, the defense is that awkward moment of hesitation. You know the one. So the lesson here is simple. Don't hover, don't wait for that perfect moment that never comes. You take that first step, you walk right up, and you introduce yourself immediately. Speed kills awkwardness. Let's be real, a monotone speaker is so easy to tune out. But Rose, he was impossible to guard because he'd lull you to sleep with the slow, casual dribble and then, bam, explode to the rim. You can do the exact same thing with your voice. Listen calmly, slowly. Draw people in. Then, when it's your turn to tell a story or share something you're passionate about, you hit the gas with high energy. That contrast, it keeps people hanging on every single word. So, how do you score on a 7-foot-tall defender? Well, you don't go through them, you go over them. Rose's teardrop floater was this beautiful, high-arcing shot that just dropped softly over the big guys. And this is your move for delivering tough feedback, maybe to a boss or an important client. You don't attack them head-on. You float the idea so it lands gently. And it sounds a little something like this. You know, I have a wild theory that might be totally off, but see how that phrasing creates that high arc? It just takes all the confrontation out of the idea. which allows it to be heard without making anyone get defensive. It is a masterclass in finesse. And finally, you knew it was coming, Michael Jordan. Now, MJ's game wasn't just about his crazy athleticism. It was about psychological dominance. It was about finesse, and it was about absolute, total control. This is how you master the frame of any conversation you're in. Think about it. When defenders crowded him and pressured him, Jordan didn't just push back harder. No, he created space with his iconic fadeaway jumper. So when a conversation starts to get heated, you do the same thing. Don't lean in and raise your voice. Do the opposite. Physically lean back. Lower your tone. You will instantly create emotional space. And guess what? The calmest person in the room is always the one in control. Next up, Jordan's triple threat stance. From this one position, he could shoot, pass, or drive to the hoop, which forced the defender to react to him. So what's your conversational triple threat? It's your listening face. You got to avoid that constant nodding. That just signals submission. Instead, you adopt this neutral but intensely interested look. It communicates that you might agree, you might challenge, or you might just move on. And that makes other people work for your approval. Oh man, you have to remember this. The 1992 finals, Jordan hits his sixth three-pointer and just turns to the camera and shrugs. That legendary moment was him saying, "I'm not even trying, and I'm this good." So when you deliver a huge win at work, don't go crazy celebrating. Downplay it. By treating a massive success like it's just another Tuesday, you signal that your standard for excellence is just unbelievably high. Okay, so we've got the moves from Hakeem, Rose, and Jordan, but what's the real connection here? What's the deep theory? Let's zoom all the way out to the metagame, the underlying physics that makes all this stuff actually work. The core concept here is something called physics mapping. It's pretty simple, really. It's the idea that social dynamics operate just like a physics engine, the same way a basketball game does. The very same fundamental laws of force and momentum and space are all at play. Great communicators, they're just masters of these laws, but in the emotional realm. And check this out. The one-to-one mapping is actually pretty shocking. On the basketball court, you've got gravity, velocity, and friction, right? Well, in a social setting, you have status, which acts a lot like gravity. You have pacing, which is your velocity, and you have awkwardness, which is just social friction. When you start to see it this way, the whole game becomes so much clearer. So how do you actually start? Here are your training drills. On Monday, you're going to channel Derrick Rose. Initiate 3 interactions with that fast first step. No hesitating. On Wednesday, you practice Hakeem's pivot whenever a conversation hits a dead end. And on Friday, find a group discussion and practice Jordan's fadeaway. Lean back, lower your voice, and just own the space. It really all comes down to this one idea. We study great athletes to understand how they master physical laws. But when we do that, we can actually unlock the secrets to mastering emotional and social laws too. The principles are exactly the same. It's just the arena that's different. So, you've made it through training camp. You've studied the greats. You now have the playbook to completely change the way you navigate every single conversation. The only question left is, what's your first move going to be?